The ashes were in cardboard boxes, in plastic containers, and one pewter urn. 4 cats and 3 dogs. Some had sat on the living room bookshelf, one on my bedside table, for years. They didn't actually give me much comfort, more a reminder that eventually I overlooked most of the time, that they were all dead. I spooned them into a pretty tea tin, each being poured differently, like fine dry gravel, like whitish coffee grounds, or pale bone sand that raised a wisp of dusty smoke from the tin. On top, I coiled 2 twists of hair, silver and glossy black, from the tails of 2 much mourned horses who had given us 45 years between them, and I sealed the tin. I hoped that a small square metal box in my suitcase would not alarm the airport x-rays or customs when I arrived in Milan, Italy. It didn't. Milan to Florence on the high-speed train is about 90 minutes at 150 miles per hour. Then 3.5 hours on the local, chugging through Arezzo along the edge of the startling Lake Trasimeno, then disgorging students at Perugia before sliding quietly into the Santa Maria degli Angeli station, a pretty little creamy yellow building with stuccoed walls and beamed ceilings. A shuttle bus groaned up a sinuous road to a tawny cluster of buildings at the top of an Apennine hill. I was in Assisi. I'm not Catholic. I'm not Christian. I'm not a believer in any religion, never have been. I regard Christianity as one more set of stories and legends like those of ancient Greece, Rome, Persia, or native North and South American societies that fascinated me as a child. But who can resist the story of St. Francis, who preached to the birds, who gentled a wolf through kindness and a fair bargain, who sang songs to the sun and moon, and felt that mud and flowers had souls, who knew illness and imprisonment and suffering and joy and ecstasy and love. I had come to pay my respects. The great basilica has 2 levels. The upper is gloriously illustrated with frescoes by that pre-Renaissance genius, Giotto, who changed all of Western painting pretty much by himself. Handsome young brothers bustle about, the cuffs of their jeans and sneakers showing beneath the hem of their long brown robes. You step carefully down a narrow stair to the crypt. People are mostly silent. At one end of a small chamber, not much bigger than my living room and dining room combined, is a hollow pillar protected by metal gates. And there he is, buried deep centuries ago by his brothers to protect him from grave robbers and souvenir hunters. The bones of that crazy, loving little man are there, right in front of you. People pass slowly around the pillar. They kneel, they pray, they cross themselves, they leave candles in the baskets to be lit by the monks. I sat in a squeaky wooden folding chair a few feet away, and I was the only one in streaming tears. Upstairs is a collection of relics. Who can say for sure if they're genuine? There was a robe said to be worn by Francis, brown, rough, patched, and amazingly enormous. But if it's your only garment, it's helpful to have it be big enough that you can wrap it around yourself and serve as a blanket, too. Francis took seriously Jesus' orders to his disciples to carry neither purse nor scrip nor shoes, and went barefoot. But when he was hobbling on bleeding, stigmata-pierced feet, his friend Claire made him a pair of shoes. Clumsy, misshapen, the leather desiccated and unstitched, they're unbearably poignant, a gift of love that even a zealot was kind enough to accept. The next morning was brilliant and cool. I set off from a northeastern gate, the little square tin in my backpack. A quiet road switchbacked its way up the side of Mount Subasio. Groves of olive trees sloped down to the plain on my right hand. Birds sang. A car passed occasionally, but I was otherwise alone. It was uphill every step of the 3 miles to the Eremo dei Carceri, the Hermitage of Caves. When even little Assisi was too much for him, Francis walked up there. He lay on his back among the trees. He prayed. He meditated. He knelt in the grottos and shallow caves worn into the hillside. As I panted my way along, I touched the corner of the tin in my backpack. I was doing this for a reason. The place is pretty much exactly as Francis knew it. A few stone buildings perch in the woods. An ancient olive tree clings to the side of a ravine, bolstered and propped by roughly nailed boards. It has been there for 800 years, and they say it's the tree where the birds gathered to hear Francis talk to them. A cracked remnant of one of its thick limbs, knotholes partly patched with cement, leans against a parapet. I open the tin. A dry, rocky path leads up and away from the chapels. I walk in the green shade peppered with birdsong, birds I don't know the names of, as I would at home. A tumble of rocks forms a little corner ledge, trailing with ivy and fern. I might be able to find the spot again if I return. The earth is soft and damp. I scrape a small rectangular ditch with my hands. I pour the gray sand, the pallid gravel, the bone dust into it. I cover it up again and relay the ribbons of ivy over it. I sit on a stone and take out a sheet of lined notebook paper. Alone in Francis's woods, I read the names out loud. 43 names of cats, dogs, and horses. Ours, my parents, my friends, beloved animal companions over decades of life. And I ask Francis to look after them because we no longer can in this world. The glossy twist of black from my mare's tail is tucked into a knothole in the broken olive tree. The skein from my friend's gray gelding hangs from a root in a grotto behind a statue of Francis. I cry, hard and for a long time. In one of the chapels, there's a wooden box. There's a basket of paper and pencils and an invitation to leave requests for prayers that the monks at Eremo will make to our friend Francis. I add a note to my list. I explain whose names these are and thank them. I fold it up small and tuck it into the prayer box. And then I walk back down the hills into Assisi. Footsore, heartsore, and filled with peace by a story I don't even fully believe in, but I needed it anyway. Pax et bonum.